up, though? What up, though?
Welcome.
Blasian Soul Podcast, once again, every Wednesday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. As I said before, we're here to talk about current events, highlight and feature role models and community leaders and entrepreneurs and professionals within our local community. Let's start out by saying that, and this episode is a little special. There's a lot of information and news going on in the media concerning the trial of the police officer and the George Floyd situation, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. So I tried to get actual people that were involved in the case, but we're a small podcast, so we don't have that clout yet. But I'm very pleased that we have someone who can shed a light on a case that garners national attention and the pitfalls associated with such a big case, and trying and putting together a defense or a prosecution for a big case. There's a lot that goes into it. So we wanted to kind of touch on that with a professional who actually knows firsthand what it takes to, do their due diligence as far as their client is concerned. I also want to touch on, we were promoting this earlier today, and there were a few people who chimed in and direct messaged me and said, well, this person was actually defending someone that maybe they didn't agree with. The podcast is not a softball podcast, so it is not for us to put on everyone who we agree with and who likes everything that we say and agrees with everything they say, because that doesn't open up discussion. I want to hear from all sides of, every situation. If there's something out there, I want to hear from a side that I might be familiar with and a side that I won't be familiar with, because you cannot learn if you don't know the other side of the story. With that in mind, I would like to bring on, because I don't know how long we're going to be able to keep him, but I would like to bring on a Facebook friend. How I first met him is that he had some posts on Facebook, and a lot of people were chiming in, and of course I chimed in as well. But what really stuck out to me is that it really wasn't a vindictive or a mean-spirited Facebook page that he has. He puts out information, he puts out his views, people comment and discuss and debate on those views. But when I was on there, I never felt like I was a minority in the conversation or my voice wasn't heard. He was he took his time to make sure everybody's voice was heard. He let people debate. He made sure that people were respectful in their debating. And that stuck out to me, especially being an attorney. That stuck out very well to me. So friended him, have been following him for a while now, and what he's been doing. He was part of the Michigan Militia case. I believe it was the Wolverine. I cannot think of the name of the actual organization, but he will give you guys that information. But he was part of that legal defense that of the Michigan Militia, who were accused of planning a kidnapping of one of our elected officials. And that garnered national attention. CNN, Fox News, everybody had their viewpoints and debated about exactly what was going on. Were the men guilty of an actual crime in itself? And it was in everybody's feed as far as social media, as well as on TV for quite some time. So with that, I would like to bring on Nicholas Somberg, who is the owner of Somberg Law PLLC.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me on.
Hey, thank you very much for coming on. It was kind of short notice. We were putting some stuff together, and I'm like, man, I really want to get a professional's perspective on this. And Nicholas was very cordial and said, hey, yeah, I'll jump on. you're not a part of the case that just finished up, but you have not only a perspective from an attorney at law, but you also have dealt with some high-profile cases that could give us more perspective into what actually goes on in a case like this. So we truly thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
First thing I would want to do is, before we kind of tackle some of the issues, is that tell the people a little bit about yourself, about your company, and then we'll kind of go into some of your background and what got you to the place that you are now. One of the aspects of our podcast is that we deal with small and medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs. We champion that when someone steps out into their self and open up their own practice or business, that's to be commended. So tell us a little bit about your practice.
Sure, and thank you. I've been in practice over 5 years now. I've been having solo from day one. So straight out of law school, I didn't want to work for anybody. Just started off in my bedroom with a laptop and a printer and a cell phone, and worked my way up to having an office, and now a larger office and people that work for me, and definitely an entrepreneur, and have been one since I was a young teenager, either hustling, doing people's lawn, shoveling snow. I was the eBay master before that was even people's radar. I was burning CDs for people because we had one of the first CD burners that ever.
Oh, wow.
Maybe I wasn't supposed to do that, but
that's awesome.
always been entrepreneurial, working for myself and investing in myself. And I knew that I wanted to be an attorney from a very young age. My mom actually kept my 6th grade project, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And it's like a big poster of lawyer and like why, and she had it at my law school, grad party out on the table, So I just knew, and I've had different influences in my life. My uncle, who passed away, was a lawyer, and I looked up to him a lot, and he was a big influence on my life. And I really just wanted to defend people and right wrongs. I could probably go into a backstory for a long time. I was somebody who got in trouble as a teenager, as a young person, went through the criminal justice system, felt like it was very trapped. I felt very trapped. I felt like I was treated unfairly. And that when I grew up, I wanted to help protect people from what I considered injustices.
Now that's admirable coming from such a young person, that not only did you know kind of what you wanted to do from a career perspective, but also that it wasn't about, I've heard, we've had other attorneys on, and some people say, well, I wanted to make a lot of money to improve my situation. But your first thought process with becoming an attorney is that you want to help people who might not be able to help themselves as far as the legal system is concerned. So that's admirable.
That's awesome.
So when you started out and you did realize that you wanted to be an attorney, when you first started school, as far as college is concerned, is that what you initially went into? Because there are some people like me, when I started college, I was initially, let me tell you, I wanted to be a lawyer. And when I initially started at Ferris State, because the classes were filled up, I was going to take the paralegal courses. And what stopped me from that is two guys behind me in the auditorium when we were processing said, okay, everyone who is in the paralegal field, please step up and get your syllabus and this, that, and the other. And those guys I heard in the back of me said, that's a glorified secretary. And that comment right there changed my whole outlook on what I wanted to do. So then I went into business and marketing. But when you first started college, was that your initial thought process, is I'm going to take the courses I need to become an attorney?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not. I probably would have saved a lot of time doing it that way. And paralegal's a very, very good job, by the way. That's almost like glorified secretary. I look at it the other way as like lawyer light. I mean, you're right. I mean, you can't show up in court, you can't sign things, but you're doing a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
All the legwork.
But no, my background, my undergrad's in accounting. I have a bachelor's in accounting. my mom's an accountant, and I always was good at math and that type of thing. And figured I want to be like business and lawyer mixed. Don't really need a degree to be a good business person, I realized. Yep. And I kind of wish the same school now has a course like you could do it in 6 years instead of 8, straight from high school, from getting your bachelor's and all through a Juris Doctorate. So kind of wish I did a different path, but I mean, I definitely enjoyed my time in college. Had some fun, took a little longer, and
we all did.
Yes, definitely. Now, where did you go to college?
I went to Oakland University.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then
that area.
Yes.
He's from your area. Yeah.
Yeah, went to Oakland University, and my senior year of college, I started getting into rental properties. Being an entrepreneurial guy, that was when the market was way down, and started doing that. And like, well, I don't want to leave. I can't go to school out of state. I got to be right here to manage these properties, so that way I can study in law school and just live off my monthly check and not have to be a waiter or whatever. And I can just focus my time on the books, which did work out.
That was smart.
Yeah.
Now, after college, what was your next steps?
Well, after college, just straight to law school after the summer. I think I started when I was 22, 20. I was a lawyer at 26.
Wow.
That's impressive. Very impressive.
That's awesome.
That's why I started growing the beard, actually, because I thought I looked too young. I'm like, no one's gonna hire me.
Oh my goodness.
No one's gonna hire me because I look way too young, and I gotta look older. And then I just kept growing it.
Wow. He used to grow beards in the winter time.
But see, I got the salt and pepper now. I can't grow the beard out. Yeah. But I did see one time you had posted you were the #1 bearded attorney in Michigan, which I thought was hilarious.
Wow.
That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I'm on and that title is unchallenged to this day. So
Nice.
All right. So yeah, and that's one thing that I wanted to touch on is that, and a lot of people that I know that are attorneys or doctors or in the professions that require a lot of schooling, that they usually take a break and they're like, man, I wish I didn't take a break. I wish I just went directly into my my secondary education. So yeah, that's pretty cool that you admitted.
That's impressive. 26. Yeah. That's awesome.
26 as an attorney is very impressive.
Yes.
So when you got into your secondary education, did you know what specialties you wanted to focus on?
Yes and no. I mean, I knew I wanted to do criminal defense. At the time, marijuana was still illegal in Michigan, and I wanted to work towards legalizing that and helping those people. But also just looking into different areas. There was contract law. I am a little bit about the money, and saw different opportunities about in personal injury, which we also do now, all the way to auto accidents and all sorts of stuff, as well as criminal defense. But looking at those as a focus, in those areas of law, you customarily, industry practice, you get a third off of anything.
Okay.
So if you're settling a medical malpractice case worth $1 million, that's $333,000. Well, you could do one case a year and be,
right.
So haven't hit one of those yet, but in going into law school, our class, I was very fortunate to be in I would say pretty special class. Our class coming in, I think it was 2012, was almost like family. I mean, the numbers, dwindled down, but it's like people were there from all walks of life, different religions, colors, whatever. And like, we're all there just on this like mission to like climb this giant mountain together, and in law school, you got to make friends. You have to help each other. I mean, some people can do it on their own and God bless them, but having a friend group to support you, emotionally, when times get tough, to help you study, say, hey, to bounce ideas off of. And, we quickly became like a little family, little class. And I keep in touch with these people to this day, and they're all over from prosecutors to defense people, personal injury to people working for, in-house counsel at companies. So I kind of got friends everywhere now.
Wow.
And it's really good.
Now, let me tell you, usually within any given week, we have about in between 3,000 and 4,000 people that watch this, if not live on archive when they're at work and things of that nature. And you just saying that one of the things that you wanted to champion was legalizing marijuana has just garnered you a whole bunch of friends. I just want you to know that there's going to be a ton of people that's like, man, that's awesome. I'm going to follow this guy. That was something big in Michigan that a lot of people had a lot of different thought processes of. What's your thought process on cannabis now being legalized?
It's a good thing. I mean, it really bothered me showing up in the court as a lawyer and just watching. I've literally seen grown men and women, well older than me, people just begging and apologizing to the judge. Oh, they're so sorry for having this small amount of a plant on that. I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, this is stupid. Is anybody, how much money is this costing right now for us all to be here? From the judge to the prosecutor to the clerks, attorney, keeping the lights on, to having to drive here, just like the total resources of society being brought to this moment in the total cost of prosecution, like both actual costs, opportunity costs, and losses, and just what are we here for? What this grown man who's a engineer or something, got pulled over and they found a pot in his car, or just like the level of destruction that I witnessed of people's lives. It made no sense. And luckily, I mean, things are pretty much in the works. I became a lawyer 2016. Yeah. So, we're just about there with legalization, but even nowadays it's legal, but
it's not
well, it's not so much federally, but people should know, people watch your show. If you do not have a medical marijuana card, you cannot drive a car within 24 hours of you smoking weed.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
There's a ridiculous, very stupid law called operating with the presence of a controlled substance. You can Google that, operating with the presence of a controlled substance. And a lot of people, they get pulled over. Maybe they got tail light. Maybe they don't use a turn signal, whatever. They get pulled over. And sometimes the officer just asks on a hunch, or maybe they smell it in the car or something. They go, "Oh, have you been smoking weed?" And they go, "Oh, well, I smoked like hours ago, sir. I'm good." Saying I'm good. You know,
right?
The law is a strict liability. They don't require. So when you're drinking, they require impairment. It has to actually impair your ability to drive a car.
Right.
With the controlled substance, it is, if there is 0.01, if there is a single nanogram in your system, which people are gonna say, well, you could fight that. Yeah, you could fight it, but they're gonna charge you.
Right.
If there's a single nanogram in your system, they consider that you are operating with the presence of a controlled substance. So you could smoke before bed, wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, eat lunch, get off, be driving home at 6 o'clock the next day, and get pulled over and be like, well, I smoked last night, officer. And that gives them ground to give you a blood test. And if you deny that blood test, that's a whole other set of things I could go into, but you get that blood test. So marijuana is legal, but that's just one thing that's still out there that makes no sense. And the government is not using science or logic, because OWI laws should be there to keep impaired people or reckless people, I would call, off the roads, and not just, oh, you smoked weed last night and we can get you on this technicality.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's insane.
But you know what? There's a lot of those laws, is what I learned in one of my business law school classes. One of the ones I mentioned to my husband when I learned about it is, honey, did you know that I have to get your permission to cut my hair in the state of Michigan?
Hey.
was one of those crazy
he's gonna research
Is that real?
He's looking like, I don't know about that.
That's one of those crazy laws that my law instructor mentioned during the class.
First of all, let me say that if that's true, I'm all for it. But that seems like
I'm going to Google it and I'm going to show you.
That seems. Yeah, I hope that is not true though. That's something that
I'll Google it and then you can screenshot and send it to Nicholas.
There you go.
Send it to me.
Yes.
Okay, so after you got out of your secondary education, most people work for a firm or try to get their feet under them, so to speak, in their profession. What was your thought process? And you know what? Even if I'm in my bedroom on my bed with one computer, I'm going to try to go it by myself. What prompted that? Well,
I was going to partner up with a lawyer. He'd been a lawyer for a couple years, and he was a friend of mine. And just when it came down to like just doing, like signing the papers, like agreeing, like getting on that malpractice insurance, like I just couldn't do it. You know, I wanted to be solo, and I did create enough cushion where having the rental properties and having all that on the side is enough where like my rent is always going to be covered.
Sure.
You know, I'm always going to have food and gas in my car and a cell phone and like food and basics, you know what I mean? Yep. And I don't have kids. I don't have a family. So like now is the time when you're younger and you don't have those responsibilities and things on your plate to do it, to take the risk and go for it. And that's basically what I did. And I started off in my bedroom. I got a really sweet website so people didn't know I was out of my bedroom.
That's so awesome.
You know, for the first 6 months or so, I'd meet people. I'd be like, hey, can you meet me at Starbucks or at the court, you know?
Right.
That's awesome.
Now, let me also say that we've gotten a lot of responses. I own a marketing agency, so we got a lot of responses about businesses and people wanting to do their own podcast. So within the next 2 weeks, we'll be rolling out our podcast network. So everybody will have their own channel, and people will be able to go to the channel. But one of the ideas we were batting around is kind of an online dating thing where, you know, because we have the podcast, we can get two people on, see if they make a connection. Now, you just told people that you're a young, single attorney at law. Well, don't be surprised.
But he might have a girlfriend.
That was past tense. That was 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
To be clear. When you're starting, I have a wonderful girlfriend. She's probably watching.
I told you.
See, I got somebody mad at me already. She's like, what's going on? He's trying to hook you up. What's going on with that?
Don't do that.
Okay.
No, so, 5 years ago when I was leaving law school, you know, it's different. And you know, you're by single. I mean, you're not married. You have no kids. You have nobody who, if you fail, they go hungry too.
Right.
You know, that's that. You know, it's when you're starting off and you don't have that. That's the time I'm trying to say to take risks and to go for what you really want.
Okay. Now, during this time, because when I started my business, my wife started her business. Even though initially we were gung-ho and I worked for AT&T Advertising, so I'm like, man, I can branch out and kind of do this myself. And there were times that, man, I had second thoughts. You know, should I just partner up with an agency because this is harder than I thought? Did you have any experiences where you were a little skeptical about the path you chose?
Yeah. I mean, at the time, definitely. I mean, when I first started, I was like, wow, you know, if I didn't have these rental properties, I don't think I could be making my rent or whatever in the beginning.
Every night.
Because law school isn't cheap either.
Yeah, I mean, there's your student loans, there's all that, but I mean, you know, every property I bought until. I was always the first one I was scared, the second one I was scared, the third one I was scared. You know, it's like just every step is scary, just growing. But no risk, no reward, as they say, or less reward.
Okay. So we've gotten to the point where you are a professional attorney, you have your own practice, you're growing. What was the reasoning, or what made you kind of throw your hat into the arena as far as the and I want to get their name correctly. I say Michigan Militia, but their name is Wolverine. What is the name of it?
Yeah, well, there's many Michigan militias that are unaffiliated or loosely. Some are on their own, some are affiliated with each other, some are not. But their name was the Wolverine Watchman.
There it is, Wolverine Watchman. Okay. Now, what prompted you to kind of put your skill set to that organization or to the cause? Yeah. Because a lot of attorneys tell me I might not have agreed with my client's perspective, but I tell you what, everyone deserves to have good legal counsel and fair legal counsel. So how did that come about? Yeah.
Well, they found me. I represent. I only represent one person, Joseph Morrison, and he is who the prosecution called the leader, but he's really only the leader because he made the Facebook group.
Wow.
They reached out to me. If people who follow me on Facebook, I've taken many cases where it's just the government overreaching. Yes. From my very first one was the guy who started up his own car in his own driveway, and he went inside in the winter, and he went inside to get his 2-year-old bundled up, and he came out, and there was a ticket for $126 on his windshield. And that went super viral, and I ended up finding him. And because of that case, we got the law changed now in the state of Michigan, where you can actually warm your own car up now. Completely. I would argue it's a whole thing. I would argue that they never even needed to change the law, that we were actually correct on the law as is in your own driveway. Yeah. But now they've actually spelled it out. I mean, he was in his own driveway. You don't even have to have a driver's license. I mean, it's like having a private, it's private property. But and I could go into many other things, but I guess I have a Facebook following of people who know that I'm there to take on the hard cases and fight the government and I guess do it well, but also fight passionately for my clients.
Right.
Now, didn't you have and I excuse me if I'm getting it incorrect, but did you have a case where a guy didn't shovel the snow off of his car properly?
His car. Yeah, his car.
Yeah.
No, it was and they won that one. Not even, but I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
Snow fell off of his car while he was driving during, I think it was a 2019 snow blizzard emergency where the governor said, "Hey, put your thermostats down to 6 or 67 or whatever it was." There was a snow emergency, snowpocalypse, and he's driving, minding his own business, and some snow falls off his car, and they charge him with littering.
Wow.
Oh, you're kidding.
A 90-day misdemeanor, littering. And I'm pretty sure snow can't be litter.
Right.
Number one.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
I guess my first question for the officer would be, well, did you gather the evidence and bring it to court here? You can have you keep it in the same condition as what you found it.
Right.
You keep that snow in a freezer for the last 4 months.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But the day of trial, so they would not drop it. We pushed it all the way to a jury trial. They kept delaying. Wow. And then on the day of trial, they dismissed so you only get a jury trial on a misdemeanor. They dismissed the misdemeanor and they gave him a civil infraction of like snow falling in a roadway or something.
Wow.
And they were able to technically get him, and we tried to appeal, and it didn't work. But it was a worthy fight, though. I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's so crazy. They didn't come with a bag of ice.
Yeah.
So you won, but you kind of didn't win because you did get him off of that misdemeanor. They probably knew they couldn't really get him on the misdemeanor.
I wish they would have done it. I had all my puns ready. All that stuff. I had my tie with the snowflakes on it and everything. It was just going to be like a trolling trial, basically.
Oh, wow.
Let's see what I could get away with. But
now, did you do a case about, and I don't know if this was you as well, but someone's music in their car? Did you do something like that?
That was another one. I'm allowed the guy was playing the song called "Fuck the Police" by the NWA.
NWA, right?
We've heard it.
Yeah.
And he's mine. And he had not. He wasn't. So he basically, somebody was pulled over at a gas station, and my client pulled into the gas, already playing the song. He didn't put it on; it was already playing.
Yeah.
And he pulls into the gas station. He's on the other side of the same gas pump as an officer pulling somebody else over.
Okay.
And he just goes inside, get by and cigarette, but he leaves his music going.
Oh, wow.
And he comes back over, and this is all on video. We got all the security footage, body cam. We got we got this footage from up top and right and straight on. But officer leaves his traffic stop, walks over, and basically says, "Hey, buddy, like, what, you think you could just play that song and whatever?" And writes him again a misdemeanor for music too loud.
Wow.
So this is not like a ticket. It's up to, this is up to 90 days in jail, 93 days.
Sure.
So, I reached out to him, and that was another case where this was in Oakland County, and, they wouldn't drop it. I'm like, you guys are crazy. I mean, this is a First Amendment all day.
Right.
They actually filed a motion and won that I wasn't allowed to mention the First Amendment at trial.
Wow.
And the judge, I'm like, and the judge was like, if you mention the First Amendment or even anything like it, I will hold you in contempt if you mention the First Amendment. And I made a Facebook event called "Rap Music's Not a Crime" because it's an open trial. I explained the story, and we got all these people to say they were going, and the Oakland County filed a motion to close the trial.
Wow.
Because they did that. So what do? I take their motion the day I get it, and I put it on my Facebook. And I say, look what they're doing. They want to silence us. And that made the whole page, because there was policing the police pages, and it double, triple, overnight. And they lost that because closing the trial, that's for if there's a child victim, something super sensitive, where, okay, you close the trial to the public, only the necessary people are in there. But this is sort of misdemeanor noise violation. You can't close a court.
Right.
So we had a packed courtroom, people standing, and they were all on our side.
Wow.
They're all, and then on their side, there was just some lady from the city who was probably made to be there. And that's it. But the jury, it was the quickest jury. The jury came back with the quickest not guilty ever. I think they probably, it was 4 minutes or something. They just
really
walked in the back room, probably went around the table one time, probably told a few jokes, because it was so obvious that it wasn't, he wasn't bumping. He didn't have a speaker system. He was driving an old Honda with stock, no system, and you're like, oh, so you haven't heard someone's rap music in the city of Pontiac, officer, driving around? This is your first time? And we got him on the stand. We got him on the stand because I told him well, it was the word fuck, right? That pissed you off. You heard, it's not the word the or the police, it's the word fuck, right? And we got him on, so I got him to agree under oath. He's like, yeah, it's the word fuck. You shouldn't say that. And then I had this all teed up, and we had him. When he went back to the original person that he pulled over in the same video, he goes, yeah, I'm gonna give you. He says, well, I'm not gonna fuck with you too bad. And
wow, I'm gonna give you the word.
So I played it for and I'm like, is that how Oakland County trains you to talk to people who are citizens? That was objective, blah, 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 but made the point. But that was a not guilty. And that person, he ended up suing the county and winning, but there is a non-disclosure on there that the amount cannot be said.
Sure.
But he did win under First Amendment grounds, which I told them was going to happen.
Right.
This is barking up the wrong tree. I mean, this is what.
That's awesome.
Now that, number one, know that I follow you, so I know I've seen all this stuff. So that's why I'm bringing this up. A lot of this stuff was hilarious to me. So I do follow you, but also it gives a little background before we get into the case that we're speaking of. Is that you're not for or against any particular people or race or color or anything of that nature. Your thought process is, if the government is overstepping their boundaries, I'm going to use my skill set to help people.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask for from an attorney that you hire that comes to the rescue, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think if you follow me on Facebook, I mean, you can get an idea of my politics.
Yep.
I'd say I'm more libertarian. I think we can. I mean, I'm going to vote Republican, but I think that we can use. I'm for freedom for everyone, and I think that there is a better way, and that government is almost outdated, and that technology is going to outpace government and give us a lot of alternatives in the future. And I think that I hope that day comes soon. But when it comes to my clients, I don't care. I don't care who you voted for, what you are, like, what are the facts? What did you do? And, and are you wronged?
Sure.
Especially, is what I'm looking for.
Absolutely.
So when the gentleman reached out to you concerning the case, the kidnapping case, what was your initial thought process? And by all means, I know there's some things that you probably cannot speak about.
Yeah.
Well, I truly understand that, but just a general summary of your thought process and how that came to be.
Yeah. So there are things I can't talk about. Generally, the rules about pre-trial publicity from the lawyer is that I can talk about things that are already in the public record,
Sure.
that are already on the news. But there's a lot, because the entire preliminary exam was live streamed.
Yeah.
So that is all public record. Everything, every one of those words, all those exhibits, that's all public record. But I still be careful, because there are people who watch me and literally stalk my Facebook and file grievances against me.
Yeah, because you were in Facebook jail for a while.
Oh, wow.
You just got out.
Not jail, in the graveyard. I was dead. They got me. Hey, I'm not.
He disappeared for a little while.
Facebook jail is like, hey, you can be back in 30 days or 6 months.
Right.
My page said your account so they banned me for 30 days. I hit the appeal button. 2 days later, I wake up and I'm signed out, on my phone. I'm like, and I go on my computer and it says, and I posted the screenshot, said, your account has been permanently disabled. This decision, because of community violation guidelines, which I didn't do. And they said that this decision cannot be reversed.
Wow.
So that's a lifetime ban.
What's that?
That's a lifetime ban then, right?
That's a lifetime ban. I was Googling, I was calling lawyers. I'm like, hey, like, what do you do? Like, I'll fly out to California and just knock on the door and be like, hey, like, I didn't do anything wrong.
What's going on? Right.
Oh,
and that was from I posted a meme about the governor that I thought was hilarious.
Oh, wow. But
it certainly did not violate any real guidelines. It was more of a dirty joke. But I thought, a lot of people think it's funny. And I the other day, like last Friday, my girlfriend, we were on a group chat with our friends, and she's like, I think your Facebook. So when you're gone, you just have like the little person image on your next to your name.
Yeah, the icon.
And she said, your picture's back, and she clicked on my profile, and my profile's back.
Oh.
And I went on there, and I guess the only thing I can think of is that there was this reporter who had reached out to me, and he was writing a book about big tech censorship. And he's like, I'm interested. You're a lawyer. You had a lot of followers. You have a conservative approach. Like you posted something political that was like your reason for getting banned. I guess he contacted their public relations department, and they responded, and they got back to him, and then gave me my Facebook.
Wow.
All right. Now, first of all, let me say I'm in marketing and advertising, so I run multiple social media accounts for my clients. I have never heard of a lifetime ban. So that's new for someone who's actually in the social media field. That is new. Yeah. I have been banned because I've ran ads for particular real estate and things like that they deemed violated their procedures and policies.
Right.
But usually it's a very short-term ban. Right. We come back, everything's good. But I've never heard of a lifetime ban.
Right.
Yeah. And I never had gotten a strike ever until the beginning of this year. I shared one of those guys, the crazy guys that went in the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, and the guy with the horns. And there's a picture. There was a picture of somebody taking a picture of him, and he's standing on like the Senate floor with like a flag.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I shared that. It was something I already found on Facebook, and I shared it. And I said, man, I got profile pic envy right now with like a laughing face. pretty much making fun of him.
Wow.
And that was supporting a terrorist and supporting terrorists. I'm like, I'm making fun of him. Like,
oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And since that day, I pretty much, it was like I'd be back for like 2 hours, and I would post something about like Joe Biden and get another 3 days.
Wow.
And it just escalated.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane. They when they changed their policies, they did get I think a little bit too stringent on social media, especially what social media is for. It's for sharing ideas and concepts and having fun. And I do believe that they're kind of overstepping their boundaries on a lot of things.
But also, weren't they like short staff or something during the pandemic? So everything was robotic and things were going all haywire. And
but that's no excuse. That's
booted off and stuff.
Yeah, that's no excuse.
I posted something today. Basically, there's been a very similar meme. Basically, what I posted, it was somebody had put the picture of Governor Whitmer under like the Pornhub heading.
Oh yeah,
and it said, slut fucks the whole state.
Wow.
Sorry, I don't know what kind of listeners you have. I thought that was hilarious. But so that's what got me lifetime banned. And just today, I saw somebody. It's the same thing with a picture of Derek Chauvin, and it says, like jury fucks police officer with this under the same like Pornhub heading. I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's the same joke.
Exact same joke.
And I'm like, and I looked. I'm like, oh, it's been shared 26,000 times. I mean, what the hell?
Wow. Wow.
So what? It's you either got to have both or neither.
Right. You can't show,
favor over.
Exactly. You got to let the other go as well. Definitely. Okay, so let's and I'm going to let you kind of take the lead on this, but tell us about your involvement in the case and what your thought process was when they reached out to you as far as the case was concerned.
Yeah, well, I went to Jackson County Jail. Okay. Go to speak to Joe Morrison. I spoke with his family, and I guess sometimes I ask the question. Some lawyers say you should never ask, but it's like, tell me right now, did you actually do this?
Right. Did you do it?
I don't like getting caught off guard.
Right.
Tell me the worst thing you did. And he's like, I posted some things on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
He's like, maybe some of them were kind of like, questionable. He's like, I didn't try to kidnap anyone. I mean, this is all public record, but I know these prosecutors are trying to grieve me right now for even talking. This is all public record. And they'll grieve me for making fun of them. Right. But, literally. But, basically Joe Morrison, he created the Facebook group, the Wolverine Watchman. It's a Facebook group. Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're allowed to have a militia. It's that is spelled out in our Second Amendment nationwide. Yeah. The security of the free state. I got a well-regulated militia. I don't know if you could read that. I got the Second Amendment right back there. Michigan is also very prevalent with militias. We got a lot of hunters, a lot of gun owners. Pretty much anything north of Lansing is like up north. You're up north, and people hunt, people have guns, and it's and people train, and you're allowed to do this. This is completely acceptable. A lot of these guys have very good relationships with law enforcement. A lot of them are military trained veterans, current, National Guard, that type of thing, and they were training at Joe. So Joe made the Facebook group, and it was his house that they did these trainings. Okay. And he lived on a couple acres, and they were basically shooting paper targets, very like basic stuff, nothing crazy.
Normal stuff.
And what was testified to, keep having the preface, this is all public. What was testified to, there was some guy, I don't believe this part. There's some guy, and he joined the Facebook group because he said that he agrees with them and all that, but that when he joined the group, he thought that some of the posts he were making were kind of extreme for his nature. So, because some of them were like, and this is all in exhibits and everything, but they're like, yeah, you know, there were some people in this group that were saying pretty violent things about police officers, not my client. And he went to the police with that. The police took him to the FBI. And then the story is that the FBI is like, hey, well, you know, why don't you just be our guy on the inside?
Oh, wow.
And that's what was testified to. That's a public record. But he also testified to that he was just getting envelopes of cash from the FBI.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
They, you know, who knows, envelopes of cash. That's nice.
Right. Is that
the whole
legal?
Well, the FBI testified under oath that they are allowed to lie and they are allowed to break the law.
Oh,
So
wow.
is it legal? Who cares, right? Who cares? As long as they're protecting the country. But basically what they did is this guy, the FBI's guy, became the second in command. He was running, and this is admitted, he was running and doing all of the trainings. He basically took over the group, you know.
Oh, wow.
And within a month or two, they go from shooting paper targets and literally crawling through the dirt like under wire and stuff to breaching doors, training with Navy SEALs, shooting from cars, like all this like more advanced like guerrilla like urban warfare stuff. And it's like, yeah, but that was your guy. Like you did that. You know, they're paying to get the rent Suburbans to like bring these guys to like different meetings and stuff across the. It's basically my client's involvement with compared to theirs is a joke. I mean, it's, you know, if the same things were being done and said about Donald Trump, if there were a group saying, you know, fuck Donald Trump and we should, you know, string him up or whatever, it would have been Saturday Night TV. You know, it would have been nothing. But because I believe because of the politics of it, and we got a Democrat attorney general, we got Democrat governor, and they seem to be very good friends. They said, you know what, pick them up, grab them.
Wow.
And that's what happened. But they dismissed. So my client is charged with the biggest charge is providing material support to a terrorist. And we'll get back to that one. And there's the other one was making a terrorist threat, which is another really stupid, I would use the word vague and overbroad law that was initiated quickly after 9/11 that can make many things people say. If the government wants to charge you, it's this very broad, like, oh, well, you threatened somebody and you used the internet to do it, which everything's connected to the internet now, including your phone.
Right.
So, you're a terrorist and you got to face 20 years. And they charge them a gang activity. They say their militia's a gang.
Wow.
And the fourth one is felony firearm, which is the possession of a firearm in the commission of any felony. And then they say that's the underlying felonies. So you go back to the original. So then, by the way, after exam, the judge dismissed the making a terrorist threat charge.
Okay.
Because what had come out was that these so-called threats, these posts, have been you're talking, they cherry picked 3 or 4 things out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, talking 7 months of many people posting all the time, you know? Right. So they cherry pick, this guy says, I'm going to kick in the door and shoot a cop or whatever. Yeah, something. But basically they dismissed that charge because they were only sharing these posts with each other. And a threat has to actually be perceived.
Right.
So if me and you are saying, hey, we should go and shoot Joe or whatever, but Joe never hears that.
It's not a threat.
And we agree. Like if I tell you and you take it like, oh, I got to tell somebody, then that's a threat. But if me and you are on the same team and we talk about going to shoot somebody, our conversation is not a threat. It's not it's not making a threat against it if the threat is never perceived, if it's never heard.
Right.
So judge dismissed it on that ground, but we still have the big one, which is providing material support to a terrorist or terrorist organization. And this law, again, post 2001 law, or maybe early, quickly after 9/11.
Okay.
first of all, it has no, like, as a lawyer, we can, there's programs like Westlaw and LexisNexis, and we can look up like, okay, this is like that's all the cases that cited this law. Mm-hmm. So, you know, possession with intent to distribute, you know, cocaine. Okay, well, like, these are all the cases that interpreted it. These are like all the rules and all the, you know, searches and seizures, and like you have all this stuff. There's not a single published case interpreting this law.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
When you try to argue, so when you say material support, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What is material? You know, there's different definitions. So if you were to, you know, I'd use the example. It's like, well, what about the guys who own the flight school that the 9/11 terrorists trained at?
Yep.
And
Right.
they crashed. Did they provide material support?
Right.
You know, I guess they did, but I guess apparently they didn't know about it. You know, I guess there's the knowing factor.
Right.
But if somebody's a billionaire
Mm-hmm.
and you give them $1 towards their terrorist mission, is that material support? Did it
Right.
actually help? Did it actually make a difference? You know, did it? You know, if you give someone $1 million in their bill, yeah, I mean, sure, you know, but if someone drops their wallet, if Osama bin Laden drops his wallet and you pick it up and hand it to him, did you just provide material support?
Right.
When we took a little break at the, you know, we take little breaks in court or whatever, and my client's like, hey, can you grab me a water? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't want to provide material support.
Right.
Right.
That's
Wow.
wow. Now, is that case over now?
No, it is not over. It is not over. We are going, well, my client's facing a couple years in prison, you know.
Wow.
If he pleads or is convicted. They're not making any offers. This is the Attorney General's office.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to their credit, they've been, in my opinion, super professional. Unlike some people I deal with, they've been super professional and open, and no games, and like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's all our exhibits. Like, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. You know,
Yeah.
But the case is not over. The case has been bound over. So when you're charged with a felony, any felony, you have the right to a preliminary exam in the district court in whatever city that happened in. Two, the government has to prove probable cause. Two things: one, that a crime occurred,
Mhm.
and that you were the one to commit it by probable cause. Very low standards. So like crime probable. So if somebody goes to court and says that person robbed me, that person stole my car, you know, that's enough to get bound over.
Wow.
So when I say that we got the terrorist threat charge dismissed at exam, that's big. That's like, wow, they really had nothing. You know, they had, because all it would have taken is one person to say, yeah, he sent me a threat or something like that.
Sure.
And I argued the material support that even by probable cause, there was no, what they hung their hat on at exam was that their FBI person
Mhm.
said that at some bonfire, after the bonfire, one of the federally charged defendants, Adam Fox, who is, you can Google him. He is he should be charged, and he is charged, and he's a bad dude, super bad.
Oh.
And he came to my client's house one time, I think maybe twice, but the second time my client wasn't even there. But the time that he came, that allegedly, you know, in a post bonfire like conversation, that Adam's like, yeah, you know, we should kidnap the governor. Like, come on, man. Like, are you down? You know, like, come on, like, you're down the kidnapper, right? And my client goes, yeah, sure. You know, yeah, let's go. And that's what they're saying. So they're saying, well, because he said that, and I was arguing, like, okay, even taken as fact, so even taken in the light most favorable to the government. So let's say, and that's not even a recording. They have hundreds and hundreds of hours of recording. I have a terabyte, 1,000 gigs of discovery.
Wow.
But first of all, if somebody, like, all you need to show me is the one page where they text and say, yeah, Adam, you can use my land or my car or my money or my ammo in your plan to kidnap the governor.
Right.
That's all you need. Just the one. You don't got to send me 30,000 pages and hard drives and hard drives and hard drives, you know? So the argument at exam was, you know, Your Honor, even agreement is not material support. So if somebody says, hey, we should go rob a bank, and you're like, yeah, yeah, let's do it. Or agreement, if I keep using like Osama bin Laden, say it's the night before 9/11, and he comes, he's like, I'm gonna go crash the planes into the World Trade Center, and you're like, Osama, you do that. I agree with you. Agreement, and even support, like verbal support, like I agree with you, is not material support.
Right.
And that was my argument at exam, and the judge disagreed. But
wow.
Yeah.
So tell me this. This was a nationally covered case. I mean, we heard about this case on Fox News and CNN and local news outlets. Did that help or hinder the process, or do you think it had any effect at all?
No, I mean, not so far, at least.
Okay.
I mean, there's like reporters when you walk out, when you walk in, they're watching it on live stream from their cars or whatever. I mean, maybe a little. I mean, it'd be hard as a judge, like dismiss a case. I mean, the state put in a lot of money. I mean, the level of investigation gone in, and how it's you joke and you hear people like say like, oh, well, the FBI is watching you, the government's watching you, they see everything. Like, no, it is very true. Wow. It is scary. Like the level of what I've seen. I'll leave it at that. The FBI actually testified. He said, I don't think anybody should post on Facebook ever. were his words. I forgot what the question was. This is like, well, don't you think people should? He's like, I don't think. And he was like, it seems like almost like a read between the lines. He was like, I don't think anybody should post on Facebook ever. And there's big tech, there's big government, but they had a very deep level of detail of everything. But so it's hard for a judge just to dismiss a case like that, even if we're right. And I'd say it's different. The Derek Chauvin, I don't even know how to pronounce it. I didn't really watch the trial. But I was thinking, like, how could you ever find an unbiased jury?
That's what I was going to ask.
How could you? I mean, who has not heard about this situation? And how do you find 12? How do you find 12?
Yeah.
You could find like one guy, and they got to be like from the area.
Right.
Too.
Right.
So it's you can't just like pull some guy out of Alaska who doesn't watch the news and say, which maybe you should think about doing actually in these cases. But yeah, if you say not guilty, there's going to be consequences to your city and your businesses. And like, this is not, people are not robots, they're not computers,
Right.
This maybe that had an effect. I'd seen the original video. I'm like, wow, that's really bad,
Right.
So,
and that was kind of my question, is that the defense for this case argued that they couldn't get a fair jury in there, and I believe that's what they're going to use in their appeals, is that so much coverage and so much media coverage of this situation kind of tainted and that's what a lot of people that I've spoken to said, that once again, I know some attorneys, I know some law enforcement officials, and they said, well, this isn't over, because they're going to appeal, and they're going to appeal. Some of the basis that they're going to appeal on is that it wasn't a fair jury, they should have moved it out of the area, and all of these different things that they're going to try to bring up to say that this wasn't fair to this gentleman as far as the case is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I did see is the judge comment on I believe Congresswoman Maxine Waters' comments to the crowd saying, get in their face or be confrontational or something like that. And the judge actually said on the record, he's like, that you're gonna get appeal, like this could flip the whole case just on that, because like that's not just some lady, that's a sitting congressperson, telling you. So when you're a juror and you're like hearing like and you see all these people outside and all this and just everything that happened last summer, and how could you possibly get a fair trial? I mean, maybe he was guilty. Like I said, a lot of attorneys sat there and watched the whole thing.
Sure.
And I just don't have time for that. I had it on my TV, here and there.
Mhm.
So I don't want to give my opinion and get too deep into it. But as far as finding a fair jury, I don't think that's even that. How could that be remotely possible to find people in the area too? Do you live in the city of here? County of Oakland? Yes. That's
right.
You gotta.
Now, what do you think on? A lot of people have said that as far as Maxine Waters is concerned, people say that her words were no different than President Trump's words when the Capitol riot happened. Number one, do you see similarities in that, or you don't see that as similar? And two, do you think that is a mitigating factor when someone of that level of, I guess, notoriety makes comments like that?
Yeah. Well, first, I don't think Trump said anything like that to supporters before the so-called, I guess, 20 people out of 50,000 winning the Capitol, and that was an insurgency. I didn't hear the former president say anything like that. I think he said to stand strong. It was all very basic things that he always says. Nothing like that. But is that going to flip the whole trial? I don't do appeals. I don't know the grounds. I don't know if that's strong enough. But there's pressure there, man. A new trial. If that's what they're going for. I mean, what a mess. Could you imagine?
Right. Yeah. That would be something.
The whole thing said.
Yeah, that would elicit a lot of emotions on both sides of the fence if there was another trial.
Right.
The whole thing's sad, and I really feel like the media and the government are just especially the media, are just playing us off each other, and they want people fighting over your skin color, or are you rich, are you poor, what do you do? And it's they have everyone at each other's throats. That way they can just go and do whatever they want and pass laws and take more of all of our freedoms away and devalue all of our currency.
Sure.
And they hurt us all, and everyone's fighting, and it's getting worse and worse. And I don't personally know how to stop this, other than I try to lead by example, to just be friends with everyone. That respect is earned, and I try to treat everyone pretty much the same. As best I can. Yeah.
And man, we usually do this an hour. We're already over an hour because this is
great information.
Yeah, man.
That went quick.
Yes.
But I would like for you to tell people if they feel that they're being taken advantage of by government organizations or government or big business. We have your information on the bottom, but if you could just give a 60-second elevator pitch of they feel they're kind of backed into a corner from one of these big organizations, the government itself. Why should they choose you to help them right or wrong?
Yeah, if so, first of all, if you're number one is if you're charged with an actual crime. Okay. I do get a lot of people that call me and say, we got to sue somebody, we got to do something about this, and that's not. I'm a criminal defense attorney, so I'm not. If you're charged with a crime, if the government did something clearly overstepping their boundaries, I'm probably your best guy. Okay. And sometimes I take cases pro bono too, if it gets under my skin enough. Most of the ones that I listed off are all free cases. The snow and the starting the car and after the police case. But yeah, you could follow me on Facebook. There's my Nicholas Somberg. There's attorney Nicholas Somberg. I have a YouTube channel that we're starting up. The name is Som Business, and I made it when I was in high school. But I got 4 million views on there, so I'm leaving it. I'm running.
That's what's up. All right, that's what's up. And your app, what is it? Legal Wizard, I believe.
Yes. So we made a mobile application. There's nothing like it, and I made it basically in a response to COVID And what it is that you can contact my law firm. It's called Legal Wizard. It's on Android. It's on Android and Apple. It's got a little picture of the dude with a beard. You can't miss it. You can take and it's very quick. You can open it. You can create an account with one touch with your Facebook, your Google, and you can submit. You can use your camera to submit a legal document, or you can even skip that step if you don't have anything. But if you get a traffic ticket, if you got something in the mail, if you're being served with a warrant, you can take a picture. It directly uploads it to our law firm, and myself or a lawyer will call you within 24 hours. And in the future, it'll be instant.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is
congratulations.
Pretty cool.
And believe me, I will be contacting you about our network. We'd love to get you your own channel on our network as well, but we'll leave that for another time. I want to say thank you very much, Nicholas. Number one, this was very informative. Again, no matter your preferences as far as your political views or, what you personally think about any situation, it seems that you're open to help anyone. I mean, I'm old enough to have purchased the cassette tape of NWA's straight out of Compton that had.
So you probably rock that.
Oh, consistently.
Because you're from the D too.
Yeah,
you're
I'm from Detroit.
D.
So,
he's from Detroit.
Yeah, I'm from Detroit. So I that was consistently played in my little tape deck when I was growing up. So thank you very much for coming on, telling your story, telling your background, as well as giving us insight into when you have such a big case going on and what that entails. We'd love to have you back sometime whenever you're available. And once again, man, thank you very much.
Yes, thank
Sure,
you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Cool.
We'll see you later.
Talk with you later, man.
Bye-bye.
All right. Peace.
Wow.
Pretty cool. Like I said, I don't want, I've had people, like I said, talk to me and, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. My thought is that I listen to whatever case or whatever law is being presented, and then I make my determination based on the facts. I want to get everybody on the podcast. I want to get people who agree with everything I say. I want to get people who have a different viewpoint. And everyone out there should want to hear both sides of a story. They say there is one side and there's another side, and then there's the truth. Yeah. So, I want to hear everybody's opinion. I want to hear everybody's thought process to be able to get a professional in their field to come and talk about not only what's going on in current events, but also their experience with something similar, with a case that has gained, national notoriety, and then kind of give his viewpoint and his positioning without taking sides is kind of what Blasian Soul is about. We want to have open discussions amongst the community with what's going on. That's the only way that not only do we hear the other side, but you can't say, I disagree with someone if you don't know what that person stands for. So if I say the sky is blue and someone says, no, it's kind of green, if I don't hear them say it's green, then how will you have a disagreement or a debate over it when you don't even know their point of view? So, that's what I'm looking for. And big shout out to Nicholas for coming on and giving us this insight. We've had attorneys that have dealt with immigration and criminal and all these different skill sets that they possess. But I think this was pretty cool because, like I said, it's a person that might have a different view on certain aspects, but it was fun. It was enjoyable. There was no, argument or anything like that. We're giving our insight. He's giving his insight, and you guys are here to listen. So I think that I want to see more of that. I want to see everybody, Republican, Democrat, undecided, Christian, atheist, whatever you are, come on and tell your story, and let's have a discussion.
Definitely.
That's it here. Like I said, we went over what we usually do, but it was pretty cool.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff. Very informative.
Yes,
very
definitely.
Yeah.
That's what we want to keep going.
Definitely. So do you have anything else to say, sweetheart?
I don't.
All right. So we're going to get out of here. We held you guys a little bit longer, but like I said, it was pretty cool. We enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned every Wednesday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, when we come on and we kind of delve into these issues. Everybody stay safe out there. Watch your six. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye. Log on.
Peace.
See you next week.
Peace.
Same time, same place.